A new, last, fresh start. Over the last few years, I spent a lot of time starting new projects, and honestly, I also wasted a lot of time. From 2017 to 2020, I was involved in a game development project as 3D artist. It was a really great and exciting time. But at the same time, I bought my first 3D printer and started a few small Kickstarter projects trying to earn some money with my 3D models. Because I was so deeply involved in game development and creating 3D assets, I slowly drifted away from the 3D printing side of things. And of course, time was a big issue as well. After finishing the game project, I wanted to go back to my 3D printing and modeling and Kickstarter projects, but there was a big but, a really big but. We started talking about developing a second game, but this time I didn't just want to be a 3D artist who creates 3D models. I wanted to be involved in the programming as well. As a computer scientist, or better saying, it's more like an information technology engineer. In German we call it Diplom-Informatiker. That naturally pulled me straight into learning Unity with C# and the Unreal Engine with C++. That part wasn't too difficult for me since I had already developed quite a bit of software in the past. But of course it took time. And when I start something new, I usually go all in. And I have a really hard time stopping. That was affecting other projects as well, and not in a good way. The first game wasn't as successful as we had hoped. We struggled a lot with game engine related problems, performance problems, and so on. Still, we wanted to use that experience and take the next game to a completely new level. There were many enthusiastic discussions about what we wanted to do better this time and which mistakes we want to avoid. Unfortunately, things didn't turn out the way I had imagined. When the project finally started, I was once again mainly tasked with creating 3D models and not necessarily the most interesting ones. The lead developer and the owner of the game slowly fell back into old patterns when it came to development, marketing, and task distribution. And this led me finally to the decision that I have to leave the project. What initially felt like a relief quickly turned into something else entirely. A massive pile of unfinished projects. We're talking about at least 10 up to 20 projects and well over 500 up to 1,000 models, probably more. Suddenly I was facing a huge task, maybe too huge. The more I tried to finish one project, the more I felt like something was holding me back. It's difficult to describe what exactly happened over the past few years. What kept pushing me to start new projects instead of finishing existing ones and monetizing them on platforms like Kickstarter, Steam, or others. I also heavily neglected my YouTube channel as well. Driven by guilt, I kept trying to finish things. So far, I didn't succeed. And then, in December 2025, I had a heart attack. This life-threatening event made one thing painfully clear. My time is limited, and something has to change. A wise man once said, if you want to change something, clean your room first. And that's exactly where I'm starting. As you can see, my room is a mess. Okay, I already took down and emptied a few shelves. But there's still a lot to do. There's a lot to do before I can truly make a fresh start. I have a lot to learn. One of the most important things is self-organization. I also want to showcase all my projects here on YouTube. But first, every tool, every material, and every piece of equipment needs a proper place. So the question is, where do you begin? I realized I needed an organizational system. While browsing printables.com, I came across the honeycomb and the Critify system. Even though there are tons of models available on printables, I often struggle to actually use them. Because of my past projects, I can be very picky when it comes to clean geometry and well-designed 3D models. I guess it's a mild form of OCD that shows up from time to time. The honeycomb wall will become the new home for tools and materials that I use very frequently. A second honeycomb wall will hold everything else, but that's not important right now. But why put all those tools and materials on a honeycomb wall? The answer is simple. I don't have a good overview of what I already own. Sometimes I buy tools twice, sometimes I make things harder than necessary simply because I forgot that I already have the perfect tool or material. As you can see, I've already installed part of the wall. Please ignore the color variations. These parts were printed from leftover filament rolls from other projects. Unfortunately, orange isn't the same orange across different manufacturers. And since we have to start somewhere, we'll design and print 2 different mounts in this video. I'll most likely make these mounts available for download on printable.com. The link will be down in the video description. The main goal for these mounts are stability, usability, efficient use of PLA material. So let's get started. First holder is for small pliers. I have 2 different types. One type has an internal spring, and the standard holder from printables works fine for those. I simply extended it to hold more pliers. The other pliers have an external spring and don't fit properly. So for those, we need to design a new holder. I've already prepared a Blender file where I model the holder and I extracted the connector to the honeycomb wall from other models so I can reuse it. I decided to model a slide-in holder that's open on the bottom. The pliers are held in place by their own spring tension. We could just make a cube with a hole for a real simple holder. But instead I went with a oval cylinder. Like I said before, it is about strength, it's about effective use of the printing material. And yeah, based on that, on this, let's say, rules and on my measurements, the opening for these holders needs to be about 4 cm wide, or roughly 1.5 inches. A depth about 1 cm or 0.4 inches should be enough to hold them. And sorry if I'm a little bit clumsy with inches. I grew up with the metric system, and because of that, I will give you the measurements in millimeters, so it's much easier for me. I'm old, it's really hard to change. I set the wall thickness between 1.2 and 1.6 millimeters. Wall thickness in 3D printing is easy to calculate. The wall depends on your nozzle, a multiple of the nozzle size. In this case, I'm using a 0.4 millimeter nozzle. That means, since we have here a little mechanical stress, 1.2 or 1.6 millimeter should be more than enough. Instead of extruding the mesh vertically right away, I'll duplicate. I want to hold multiple pliers. I own 3 of them, so I need 3 slots. To do this, I duplicate the mesh and join the duplicates. When joining meshes in edit mode, it's important to avoid duplicates, vertices or surfaces. That's also why I didn't extrude the holder yet. It saves unnecessary cleanup later. For better positioning, I switch snapping to vertex mode and use the control key while moving the mesh. After that, I delete unnecessary geometry and use merge by distance to clean everything up. To securely attach the holder to the honeycomb wall, we need more material around the holder and the insert. I'm also thinking about adding a brace to prevent bending. To save time, I delete half the mesh and use the mirror modifier. Now the focus is simple: add stability. Next, I give the holder some depth and position the insert. About 1.5 centimeters or 50 millimeters should be enough. To connect the insert properly, I slightly extend it so the Boolean modifier has enough data and enough overlap to work with. As you can see, Boolean operations don't always work perfectly. Some cleanup is often required. Maybe applying the mirror modifier earlier would have helped, but in the end, the result is what matters. Exporting the model is straightforward. Just make sure to enable selection only, so you don't export everything in the scene. And because of selection only, you have select at first your model, what you want export. Now we open the Prusa Slicer or any software you use for your 3D printer and drag the model onto the build plate. There's not much to adjust here. You might run the repair function of your 3D printing slicer software just in case. After slicing, export the G-code to a USB stick or transfer via network or whatever connection you use to your printer, and then hope the print works. As you can see, classic case of measure twice, print once. So yes, we need to fix that. A CAD software would definitely be better for this kind of adjustment. I've worked a bit with Fusion 360, okay, maybe I misused it, but I definitely need to learn FreeCAD properly in the future. For now, I'll try to fix the mistake by scaling the holder without rebuilding everything. And finally, it works. Sure, a slightly better fit would be nice, but it's good enough for me right now. To keep things interesting, I show a speed modeling timelapse for the large pliers holder. I start with the torus, with an inner diameter of 10 and an outer diameter of 14. To add stability, I remove the lower part, extrude downwards, and close the opening using bridge edge loops. I then align the insert and add more material between the insert and the holder for extra strength. And finally, everything is joined using the Boolean modifier. Now that you have seen two holders, and holders aren't exactly YouTube's hottest topic, I'll keep it short and show you the result. There's still a lot to do. Paints still need space, and they'll gradually will be replaced with Vallejo, Green Stuff and Createx products. Glue, cleaning agents, brushes and diorama tools also need proper storage. The soldering station, lab power supplies, measuring tools, magnifiers, all of that needs to be accessible without getting in the way. Wire spools, solder, desoldering wire and flux also needs a better solution. The current packaging makes them annoying to use, so that's something I'll address soon. Lighting is another big topic. Right now I use video lights to light my workplace, and they're really awkward to mount and getting them in the right position. I already have an idea to mount LED lighting directly to the honeycomb wall, but this will be a separate video. If you found something useful or relatable in this video, feel free to leave a like or a comment below. It really helps more than you might think. And if you want to follow this journey and see these projects actually get finished, consider subscribing. For those who want to support this channel more directly, I also have a Patreon page, and I will somewhere in the future there will be a membership area on this channel as well. It helps me spend more time on these projects and keep them moving forward. Either way, thank you for watching, and I see you next time.